once you start going into that more spiritual aspect of meditation and getting to know yourself, beyond your identity, beyond your personality, beyond your roles that you play in life, you start to discover a deeper aspect of yourself. And that deeper aspect of yourself does not suffer. It is never anxious. It is never afraid.
Welcome back to Happiness in Progress. I'm your host, Danielle Craig. I'm an Emmy Award-winning journalist, a mom, wife, and you know what I like to say, just a person looking for more joy in the everyday. This podcast is brought to you by the Mail Tribune. You can find more podcasts at mailtribune.com. And don't forget, if you like listening, make sure you subscribe. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also subscribe wherever you are listening from any podcast app. All right. Let's get to the good stuff. This is such a powerful episode with such important information that I wish I could just share with everyone I know. And that's why I'm putting it in this episode. You are going to hear from Giovanni Dienstmann. He is a meditation teacher and coach. He's the author of the best-selling book, Practical Meditation. This episode is so good because we're not only talking about meditation and how it can help with your anxiety, but literally how it's reworking your nervous system, the nervous system that was set up in primitive time. We talk about tangible tools that you can use right when those feelings of anxiety come in, and also why it's so important to care for the mental and spiritual sides of our beings. So much good stuff. So let's get to it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you, Danielle.
I want to focus on anxiety because during this pandemic, worldwide, anxiety is probably at all-time highs. And I know meditation can help with anxiety because that is my go-to strategy to deal with anxiety. So tell me a little bit about how meditation can help people dealing with this.
Right. So anxiety is a response of your brain to threat. Because of the pandemic, there is this sense that threat is everywhere, right? And we need to kind of be careful to remain healthy and to stay alive, really. And that most primitive part of your brain, the amygdala, the primal brain, the main project of that part of your brain is survival. And in order to keep you alive and to avoid pain, it creates anxiety and fear, right? So that is anxiety and fear. They are natural mechanisms. But the problem is we were not meant to feel anxiety and fear all the time, right? Our system is not meant for that. And in modern life, we often feel anxiety or fear for different reasons, and reasons that have nothing to do with our survival. We may feel anxious about failing at a project. We may feel anxious about being rejected or speaking in public, etc. So to deal with this type of anxiety, you can use meditation. Meditation tells your nervous system that everything is okay. Because when you're anxious, you are breathing differently. Your heart is beating faster. Your breathing is shallow and faster. There are tension in different areas of your body. And with meditation, the opposite happens. Heartbeat calms down. The breathing becomes slow, deep, even. And the tensions in the body, they tend to dissolve. There are ways to make them, to resolve those tensions in your body with meditation. So the first way that meditation helps with anxiety is by giving you the ability to relax and to calm down. Anxiety is the opposite. Anxiety is you are tense. You are ready to defend your life. And you are thinking fast and you're acting fast. Your body is agitated. Relaxation, on the other hand, is to release tensions and to be calm. So this is one of the key ways that meditation helps against anxiety.
Mm-hmm. So we're reteaching our nervous system that things are actually okay. Is that right?
Yeah. So when you are anxious, when you find yourself in a moment of anxiety, if you stop and breathe slowly for 1 minute or 2 minutes, right, your nervous system gets the message like, hey, if she's breathing like this, if he's breathing like this, we must not be in danger, right? And then it sends that message throughout your whole body and you calm down. The thoughts calm down, the body calms down.
What have you learned about how our this primitive system that we have, that we use this is the same system that was used hundreds of years ago before we had constant connection on our cell phones and the anxiety about speaking. We were really just trying to run away from, tigers and bears. What have you learned about that primitive system and how it's just not equipped for the 21st century life?
So the primitive brain, it wants two things. It wants to avoid pain and keep you alive, basically, because death is the ultimate pain. And it wants to seek pleasure, right? So when we are living in the jungle and in the caves, and the main object is just surviving for as long as possible and enjoying a little bit of pleasure here and there when possible, that brain is perfect. It fits the job. But for the modern person, that survival is almost a given. We are not going to be attacked by a tiger as we're crossing the street. We're going to have food. We have food in the fridge. We don't need to hunt for food. We are okay. Survival-wise, we are okay. The focus of human life has shifted from survival to fulfillment, to self-actualization. And for that, the response of fear and anxiety is not helpful. It holds you back, because for you to actualize whatever dream you have, for you to fulfill whatever aspiration you have, you're going to have to take risks. You're going to have to leave the comfort zone towards something that feels risky. And anxiety doesn't want you to do that. Fear doesn't want you to do that. But you have to remember that those responses are not meant to stop you from doing those things in your life, from trying something deeper in your life. They are just meant to keep you alive.
Tell me a little bit about, you work with so many people on meditation. Tell me about what you've noticed, how somebody's anxiety state has changed as you've worked with them, as they have started and brought a meditation practice into their lives.
Absolutely. So I like to take an integrative approach. It's not only meditation, it's also mindset work. And I also work a lot on virtues, developing certain virtues or qualities. Because the nature of this work is dual. One is, what do you do when anxiety shows up there and then? Like in the moment, what do you do? And that there are specific breathing exercises that you can do, right? So that is one thing. And then the other thing is, okay, how do you change your mindset? How do you develop certain qualities within yourself? How do you change your way of looking at things so that anxiety doesn't arise? So these two things need to be worked on. How to make you less anxious, but when you are anxious, then what do you do about it? So meditation, when you are anxious, helps you to, again, start by calming down your breath. And then there's something that I call the ROAR method, ROAR. So R is for recognize. You recognize that anxiety is here. And this could be simply saying, hey, anxiety is here, or Miss Anxious is showing up again. You can objectify that voice a little bit. And that gives you certain space, rather than anxiety occupying the whole screen of your awareness. It's just like, okay, anxiety is here. It's a visitor. It's coming here and making a mess. Already gives some space.
I love that. I love that because I think a lot of people bring it on as a character trait. Anxiety is me. I am anxious. I think that they bring it on more than just a visitor. Yeah.
And that's why it's I always emphasize this point with my students and clients. Don't say I am anxious or even I'm feeling anxious, but just anxiety is here. And in that language of anxiety is here, you are creating a different relationship with anxiety. It's just something that comes and goes. It's a visitor.
Oh, that's so good. That's empowering.
Yeah. And so that's R for recognize. Then O for observe is observe what anxiety does to your body. Notice where it's sitting in your body. For some people, is tension in the shoulders. Other people find a sense of tightness or pressure in the head, or a knot in the stomach. So you take a moment to observe, where is anxiety living in your body? And just by observing that, again, you are localizing anxiety from something that is all over the place to something that is, okay, it's this sensation of tightness in my chest, right? That's anxiety. So it's already something smaller, more under control. And then you go for A of acceptance. Instead of trying to get rid of it, instead of trying to reject that sensation, you just say, okay, I see you. You have the right to stay here for as long as you wish. I don't mind.
That's
and
a
when
hard
you say
one.
that and you mean that, yeah, that's usually people say the acceptance piece is the most transformative for them. Because when you say that and you mean it, you are saying to anxiety like, hey, you don't have any power over me. You're just a visitor.
I love
right? It's
that.
like you are at home and there's a visitor that's coming in and he's a bit noisy. And you can say, look, you can sit here and watch TV. I'm doing my business. I'm doing my work.
And it will leave as well.
It cannot stay.
Yeah.
Nothing can stay forever.
That's powerful.
But if you are there chit-chatting with anxiety, right? If you are there fighting with anxiety, they need to stay longer.
That makes sense.
So one thing I say is whatever you resist persists. If you resist anxiety, if you fight it, if you wish it to be gone as soon as possible, then you are engaging with it. You are allowing it to define you in that moment.
Yeah. And I think anxiety has such a negative connotation, and it is a negative part of our lives that comes in. But getting out of the fight, that is such great wisdom. Thanks for sharing that. That's wonderful.
And then the final R is release. And at this point, many people, after going through these first 3 steps, the anxiety is already gone, or it's so manageable, it doesn't matter anymore. But if you need, you will go for the 4th step, which is release. You found where anxiety was playing in your body. Let's say it's a sensation of tightness in the head. Then you imagine that you're breathing in and out through that sensation. And you imagine that every time you're breathing out, you are releasing that sensation a little bit. And by going through this process, that sensation will start reversing and subsiding.
How did the last 2 work together? Because with the release, can someone be too focused on the release that the acceptance you don't get the full effect of that 3rd step?
So ideally, when you get to the release step, you are already okay with anxiety being there. But you're just going to say like, hey, let me see what happens if I breathe through it and have this subtle intention of releasing. It's not like, hey, I'm going to breathe out so you go. No, then acceptance is not working. You have accepted it's there, but now you're gently releasing it with every exhalation.
Okay.
Great. That's the ROAR method. So whenever people feel anxious, any of your listeners or viewers can try this today in their life. Next time you feel anxious, or it also works if you feel angry or triggered in any way, you pause, take a few deep breaths, and then practice the ROAR method. You recognize that emotion, you observe where it is in your body, you accept it, not fight it, and then you release it every time you breathe out.
And then the longer practice, even when you're not feeling the anxiety in the present moment, is meditation, also mindset. Tell me about the mindset that you were talking about. How does that make a difference, and what exactly is that?
Right. So, it's funny because there are so many different mindsets that can create anxiety. And every different person I sit with, every different coaching client is different. It's a different thing that triggers their anxiety. So for some people, anxiety is the voice that I can't do it. I can't handle this. I'm overwhelmed, right? And then for those types of clients, I will say like, hey, if that's you, focus on confidence. Focus on developing a self-talk of confidence that whatever slap life gives me, I can take it. Whatever punch life gives me, I can take it. I can roll with the punches and I'm going to be okay. Right? For other people, it might be more, anxiety might play more as a constant discontentment. That you're always unhappy about the way things are, always worried that bad things are going to happen. And so if that's you, I would say focus on gratitude. Develop gratitude, develop contentment. And this could be something as simple as a 3-minute gratitude journal at the end of the day. So basically for changing your mindset, for changing the way you work so that there is less anxiety, you will start developing certain qualities inside of you that are the opposite of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
If anxiety for you is fear, you will develop courage. If anxiety for you is a sense of overwhelm or I can't do it, then you develop confidence. If it's a sense of worry that things are going to happen, you develop contentment and gratitude.
Do you think there are any mindsets right now during the pandemic that might be feeding the anxiety?
Well, the whole media is feeding the anxiety.
Mm.
No, it's just the fact that we are all the time hearing about the coronavirus and thinking about it and worrying about it. That is, we are putting too much attention on the negative.
Mm-hmm.
We are putting too much attention on things we cannot control. And a life well lived, a life of well-being, is where we are focused most of our attention on things we can control.
Mm.
And what we can control is the thoughts we have, the decisions we make, the actions we take. These are the things we can control. We cannot control the economy, politics, or the pandemic. We cannot control what other people think or say about us. We can only control what's within us.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. If this is a mindset of if we've created a mindset of being out of control just by what we're reading, what our friends are posting on social media, is the solution then to altering that mindset, is that focusing on what we can control?
Yeah, this is one of the things. And the paradox here is the more you worry, the more you fear, the weaker your immune system becomes.
Wow.
So you're worried about the disease and you become more vulnerable to the disease.
You have a meditation program and you call it a gym membership for your mind, heart, and soul. I think this is so genius because I think a lot of people today are forgetting about that part of our being. We focus on the thing that we can see, which is physical appearance. So we may have an actual gym membership, but we are not focusing on the things that people can't see, how our mind is doing and how our soul is doing. Tell me about why that is so important.
Well, the motto of my work is master your mind and master your life. You cannot have a happy mind and an unhappy life, and the opposite is also true. Everything can be kind of okay in your life, but if inside of you are happy, you're gonna feel happy. Everything may be happening amazing in your life, but if inside of you are unhappy, then you are unhappy. And that's why there's so many people who they have ticked all the boxes, right? They have recognition in their area of work, they have a lot of money, they have good house, good family, etc., and they're depressed, or there's a crisis of meaning in their life. They're not happy. They can't appreciate the blessings that have been given. So it's in a way, it's every human's being primary project to know themselves and to master themselves. It's so important because your mind decides everything. Your mind decides if you're having a good day or a bad day, if you are a good person or a bad person, the decisions you're going to make, the feelings you're going to have. All of this is your internal world. And yet we don't pay attention to this internal world. If we're feeling bad, we seek to buy something or go somewhere so that thing will make us feel better, right? But what if you can make yourself feel better every day within yourself without depending on anything? Now that's the promise of meditation. That's what's possible.
I love that. When I started meditating, it was incredible. It was 3 years ago now. And, I kept thinking like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I found this in my 30s. Had only I been, a teenager meditating, what a difference this would be. And you started meditating when you were a teenager. So tell me just a little bit about the impact that this has had on your life, because hard things still happen. I'm sure you've still gone through hard things, but how has meditation helped you through your life?
Yeah. So, there are many different benefits of meditation. Some of them come very quickly, and some of them come as you keep a daily practice throughout the months and years, then those benefits come. For me, perhaps it's resilience, the idea of resilience and fearlessness, that once you start going to that more spiritual aspect of meditation and getting to know yourself, beyond your identity, beyond your personality, beyond your roles that you play in life, you start to discover a deeper aspect of yourself. And that deeper aspect of yourself does not suffer. It is never anxious. It is never afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start tapping into that place, then the whole of life becomes easier, because bad things still happen. Difficulties still happen. There are still financial problems and family dramas and fights and all of that. But you experience those things from a wider place. It's the metaphor I like to use is, imagine you get a bucket of salt and you put that into the bathtub. That water becomes salty. If you get that same bucket of salt and you throw it in the ocean, it makes no difference. So meditation is about pausing, taking a step back, and tapping into our ocean nature, so to speak.
One of the things you also teach is making this a habit. It's so funny because when I started meditating, I was still working crazy hours and my life was insane and I hadn't cut out a reasonable life for myself. And so even 5 minutes a day seemed difficult to get to. But even when I was just meditating 5 minutes, maybe twice a week, that was making a difference already. Why is it so important, one, to make it a habit? And why do people, do you think, have such a hard time finding just a few minutes in their days to make it a habit?
Yeah. Well, the first question, why it's important to be a habit. Meditation is not the type of thing that you can get away with just doing every once in a while, like cleaning your garage. You just do it once in a while. It's the type of thing that you need to do every day. It's a bit like taking a shower. You take shower to remain clean and healthy in your body. And meditation is like a shower for your mind. During the whole day, every day, we are exposed to so many messages, so much negativity. And even in our own mind, so many negative self-talk, so many negative thoughts most people have. And so if this is happening every day, you need your practice to also happen every day to offset that. Otherwise the benefits would be minimal. For you to really have the benefits of the practice, you need to practice every day, even if it is 5 minutes. And then you can grow from there, but making it easy on yourself in the beginning. Now, the second question, remind me.
Why is it so hard for people to find even just 5 minutes?
Well, in a way, we have... we are not aware of the way we are spending our time. We are not aware of the way we're spending our life. We have let go of control of our life and time. And we all have more than 5 minutes to dedicate to something that is good and healthy. But we are spending it mindlessly on other things. We are spending it on games and social media and news. And we're spending so many things that we could cut back a little bit and create that time. So the reason why people find it hard is that they haven't prioritized it. They haven't really understood the benefit. Because some people, when they come to me, they have, especially people who with anxiety, they have tried everything. They were never interested in meditation, but they have tried everything. And anxiety is so painful. Nothing worked. So they're willing to give it a go, and they practice it very seriously because it needs to work for them. So when you are in a point in your life that you absolutely need meditation, it will be easy for you to build a habit. But my hope and my work with my blog and everything is that people become more aware that it doesn't need to get to that point. And meditation is a type of mental hygiene that you need to do every day, just like you need to take a shower every day. So it's my role to educate people about the different benefits of meditation, what it can do for them. And at the very least, I'd like to say, hey, take a 30-day challenge. For 30 days, meditate 5 minutes every morning. And if at the end of that time you feel it has done nothing for you, then forget everything about meditation.
When I started meditating, the 5 minutes was transformative. And so I've really not, maybe the longest meditation I've done is maybe 12 minutes. I think 12 minutes-ish. How long do you tell people to go? Is there an optimal time?
Yeah, it depends on their goals. I would say that for health, 10 to 20 minutes is good for health. For, if you want deeper self-transformation or healing, then I would say from 20 to 40 minutes for that type of deeper work. And if you want for spiritual awakening, then I would say 40 minutes to an hour. So it depends on your goals.
Okay. I gotta hold myself to that, then challenge myself a little bit. All right. I have so enjoyed talking to you. I love the work that you do. I think it is absolutely so important, so needed, especially right now with people up against this in a constant fight with anxiety all the time. So thank you for all of the tips you shared. I do want to ask the last question, which I ask my guests because this podcast is about finding more joy in the everyday. What is your tip to finding more joy in the good, the bad, and the in-between of life?
Yeah, there's so much that could be said here. Perhaps I would say find what is most important for you. Find what you value most in your life, your deepest aspiration. And then let that lead the way. Organize your life so that you are dedicating enough time and energy to the things that are most important for you. And for me, I call this self-discipline, which is the art of harmonizing the way you live with what you care the most. So get to know what's most important for you and then make that the most important thing in your life.
Giovanni, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Danielle.
I hope you enjoyed hearing from Giovanni. I have all of his information linked in show notes, along with a free course that he is sharing. So that is all available to you in show notes. Before I let you go, I want to remind you to subscribe. If you like hearing stories like this and information like this, make sure you subscribe. Also, I have many meditation episodes that you may be interested in. I'm going to go ahead and link those in show notes as well. And I want to thank you for being here on Happiness in Progress.